If you have played games for a while, I'm sure you've heard of many different aiming methods, such as wrist aiming and arm aiming, and the 1-to-1 ratio sensitivity is by far the most popular way to play. 1-to-1 sensitivity is simply your sense with a 1x multiplier. However, with games like Apex, by default the game's 1x multiplier is not actually a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning your hipfire sense doesn't actually match your aim down sight sense. One of the reasons for this is that Apex FOV is measured in a 4.3 aspect ratio instead of 16:9 like many games today like Warzone. This explains why aiming in Apex feels so strange. Another reason is the guns themselves are on different sensitivities. For example, on 110 FOV, assault rifles would have to have an ADS multiplier of 1.5 to be correctly a 1-to-1 ratio. However, with that being said, most pro players use a 1x multiplier. For example, Lyric from E United uses a 2.4 hipfire sense at 1x ADS on 400 DPI. Some other pros, such as NRG Sweet, have used a 1.7 hipfire and a 0.8 ADS, which is an example of a sensitivity that is not a 1-to-1 ratio. With that being said, there's also an old forgotten aiming method that came from the Counter-Strike scene, and as much research as I've done for it, I can't figure out where the origins came from. And that is the 2.4 aiming method. This is where you take your mouse from the neutral position, swipe left or right until it is a full 360, then take your sense and divide this by 2.4. That would be your aim down sight sense. The idea is that the ADS scales with the higher the overall sense and should therefore match your natural dexterity to track targets. So if you're a low sense player like myself, your hipfire sense is 1.5 and the ADS would be 0.6. And if you're a high sense player, your 360 is a 3.4, your ADS would be a 1.4, and it scales with every sense getting higher and higher. In a lot of ways this makes sense, and then in other ways it doesn't. I've tried this out myself, and to my surprise, it actually worked quite well, and even turned on my aspect ratio to 4:3, to hold true to the Counter-Strike origins. After all, Apex runs on a Counter-Strike engine, so it makes a lot of sense. If you're bored or just want to try something new, I'd give this a try and you might discover something about yourself. Who knows, you might actually like it. But Phantasm, you master of recoil. There's no aim down sight option in Counter-Strike, which is why this comes from the programmer who implemented this configuration. And people that do this sort of thing are typically smarter than me, which is why the 2.4 aiming method is so interesting.